Welcome into Wager Talk's last call. Kelly in Vegas here. We got some programming notes we'll get to after we talk to the Greek gambler, Gianni the Greek. Gianni Corrales, you guys know him from Wager Talk today, from Bet on It, and of course, from his exclusive Steam room. We have a nice promotion for you guys in that for tomorrow as well. Let's just get right into it, VR. We've got a fun NFL slate. We've got tons of college basketball. Art DeCesar just sent me a text regarding NFL. I can't wait to get that laundry list of college basketball sharp plays to share with everyone. But until we do, I want to get into things with you. I want to talk about what's going on for the divisional round. We talked about all four of these games on Bet on It, but I want to kind of get into more of the weeds of things, right? We can each have an opinion on a game. You and I were discussing before the show started. Yeah, I like this side. Yeah, I like that side.
Right.
But there's some things that are kind of keeping me off. There's been some line movement on several of these games. And the reality is, and you always say this, it's okay to pass. I know there's 4 games, so everybody wants that action on all 4, but I'm going to pass on 2 of them. Coincidentally, the 2 I'm going to get involved with are today. I want you to kind of start off the top before we get this college basketball list on what you like for NFL, what you're seeing on the back end for NFL, and then I'll share with what the Westgate Superbook has as well.
Well, the books did a really good job of eliminating the teaser because these were going to be teasable games, with Seattle, with Denver and Buffalo, even national championship. And they've been able to manage risk so that you haven't been able to really wong it unless you caught it at the right time. It has been out there where you can wong Seattle and Buffalo, where you're getting Buffalo up to 7.5 and you're getting Seattle down to -1, 1.5. Now that's a great teaser, especially with both of the totals looking like they're being bet under from the sharp bettors. So you have the market from the sharp bettors leaning towards lower scoring games, and you have a wongable teaser. To me, that's automatic, Kel. But looking at the lines where they sit right now, it's just not available because Seattle's at -7, -105. So if you like Seattle, they're more advantageous laying the 7 -105, or if you're able to take it down to 6.5 and don't have to lay, more than -120, then I think you should buy the 0.5 point, especially since the -7 is discounted at -105. You're better off taking Seattle at -6.5, slight juice, than teasing it if you don't have another plus EV side of the teaser. Now, again, if you feel strongly about one of the sides, I can't argue against the teaser because when we use teasers, we want to use them because we believe 2 things. A, we're getting plus EV bets down because we're able to tease through the numbers 3, 4, 6, 7. That makes it automatic if we could lay, 125 or less. Then the other side of where teaser becomes advantageous is when you think that the lines are extremely efficient, because the average NFL line is 10 points off the final score. We talk about how sharp they are, how efficient the market is, and yet on average, the final score is about 10 points off the closing line. So it still tells you that teasers aren't advantageous unless you're getting games that are falling closer than that average 10 points, because you're only using 6-point teasers. You're in the playoffs. You expect that. Both teams are highly motivated. You should get 60 minutes from both teams. These are the elite that are left, so you have parity. You have tight lines in every single one of these, except Seattle, which is 7. So, I would look to tease today, and it's a perfect example of just how beneficial teasers are when the playoffs come around next week. A lot of the limits will be lower on teasers. This was a big fad back when the quants started talking about what you should be laying as far as juice goes on teasers. And the talk was that on conference championship, you should be laying upwards of 170, 175 for 6-point teasers. Historically, I guess games have fallen really close to that number. Not to go off on a rant, but I really do think you should look to teasers. But I do think you should pass on teasing any kind of totals and you should try to stick to the Wong, going through, 3, 4, 6, 7, but that is not available. I do like Seattle. But what scared me was knowing that the 7.5 did get bet by a group that I respect that is profitable long-term. Also, Buffalo and Denver. I did like Buffalo or Denver on a teaser if you're able to tease them through. And as far as totals go, like I said, you're getting both of those. Little surprising, both being bet under, even from the public, believe it or not. I was surprised seeing that Buffalo Broncos. I thought that would get over money, Buffalo, number 1, number 2 offense, what have you. But it's just not the case. It's still sitting 46, open 47, got the 46, and that's where it is. In fact, the sharper books are juicing the 46 down, and I'm even seeing 45.5s on the board. So obviously unders getting money in both games from sharps and the public. And good balance on the sides. San Fran sticking out a little. That's a popular dog.
VR, I want to push back on the teaser talk, right? We all know I love the teasers, and even people on bet on it are like, Kelly, come on, we don't care anymore. But the reality is that they've been very good this year. Now, I'm going to go back to something that you taught me many years ago. The divisional round is just pick the winner. So why are we talking about teasers? Should we be looking at money lines, particularly if a money line is cheap? Let's use the Denver Broncos, for example. I saw a sharp group lay 1 this morning with the Broncos, albeit late. I took pick 'em with you on bet on it on Wednesday. So this doesn't really apply to me, but there are people that generally wait till Saturday because they got to get their credit opened up. They got to transfer from their paycheck on Friday. I get it. Not everybody's betting on Mondays and Tuesdays. But is the better bet Broncos -1, -110, or Broncos money line -120, right? Not everybody's going to have -120, but several of them are going to be there. I'm only asking because the comment section is saying they love the quant talk. And I think that this is something that a lot of the general public doesn't understand. Money lines versus -1, -1.5. Look at him. He's my quant. The comment section is having a good time today. But in all seriousness, when it is just pick the winner, if you like the Niners, you should be betting the Niners on the money line. That is a very basic concept. But when you're right around that pick 'em spread, -1, -1.5, is it better to lay the points or take the money line?
I love this question. As far as the 1.5, I'm laying it. I'm looking to get 105. That's what I'm looking to do. And trying to get even 1.5 discounted. Meaning, if some books have 1, and I'm hoping that I could find 1.5 at -105. Meaning, so if most of the market's -1, -110. But someone's getting more action, one of the square books, and they went up to 1.5 -105. I'll lay that 1.5 -105 all day, as opposed to laying, the 1 -110 or the money line -120. Again, there's going to be that times that the game lands 1, but it's just not enough that I'm going to bypass the cheaper money line or the cheaper VIG as opposed to going to the money line. But I want to bring up the other point you touched on, and that was pick the winner. We know that's the case. First of all, we know that's the case in the NFL all season long, okay? But more importantly, when we get to the playoffs, we have a huge sample size that it's upwards of 80% regardless of the round. It doesn't matter. Wild card, divisional, conference, Super Bowl. Pick the winner, you're cashing a ticket. What does that mean? The favorite's going to win candidly, comfortably, so the teaser's usually not going to help you, or the dog's going to win outright. And I love what you said. Usually when bettors talk money line, they're talking favorites. Bet the favorite on the money line. So all they have to do is win. All they have to do is win the game. I like you mentioned San Francisco on the money line. That's how you got to be thinking in the playoffs. If you like San Francisco, if you like Houston, if you like the Rams, if you like Buffalo, you got to put some of your bet on the money line. We already know. We know that history tells us if those teams cover, they're probably winning, especially when we get to the playoffs. Forget just the NFL season overall, but the playoffs, notably, these rounds. We're talking upwards of 8 out of 10 times. I think the next week it's like 90%, close to 9 out of 10 times. You just pick the winner, you're cashing a ticket. And the spread kind of biases us a little bit. We look at Seattle and we're like, wow, they got to win by more than 7 to cover that spread. Well, we know historically, if Seattle advances, they're probably winning by more than 7. And it's hard to look at it that way when you talking NFL and these teams are now, the best teams that are remaining, and they've played each other, and it's just so hard to look at it and be like, does the 7 really not matter? Like, if I like San Francisco, should I not even care about it? Well, history says you probably won't need it if you bet San Francisco and that's the side you like. They're probably going to advance. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you like any of the dogs this week. You got to place some of your bet on it. At least a fraction of your straight bet. Go money line with it.
All right, I just got the college basketball from Art.
Yes.
So I need a little favor from everybody in the comment section. If you guys are not already subscribed to WagerTalk, we are 40 subscribers away from 240,000. Not only do I need a like from you guys, but I need to make sure that you guys are subscribed. I don't want to accuse anybody in here of not being a subscriber because I feel like these guys are very loyal listeners. But if you are not, please hit that subscribe button so we can hit 240,000 subscribers today. And I got those college basketball needs really quickly, VR, before we do. Can you let everybody know about your Steam room tomorrow? Yeah. It is free to everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna open it up wide open for everyone to jump in and join us. I figure it's towards the end of the football season, and we're only doing then conference championship and Super Bowl, and then we're moving the Steam room to Saturdays because I want to be able to go more than 60 minutes. And Saturday is going to be the busiest day. We're going to have UFC, college basketball, obviously the huge boards, and a lot of live stuff coming in. So I want to be there for Saturdays. But like I said, divisional round conference championship and Super Bowl Sunday, they will be on Sundays. The one on this one will be open for all, not just subscribers. So what I'm going to do is same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We're going to go over the 2 NFL games. We're going to talk about the Monday National Championship. We're going to already know the results of today's game, so we'll look ahead to the next week openers. We'll talk college basketball, NBA, NHL, anything else that comes in, and risk management for 2026. And more importantly, I'm there to answer all your questions. I work for you, and I'm accountable to you. And I love it. I love having the Steam room. And subscribers get that every single week.
Okay, I lied. My good friend CT Betts is watching the show, and he sent me a question. Okay, so CT bet the Rams minus 3.5, minus 105. Obviously, he has a similar out to where we do. That being said, he wants to know whether, because you were talking about the money line, whether it's a better bet to bet the Rams down to 3, right? We talk about buying on and off to 3. And when you have a minus 105 account, you can get it for minus 125 right now. Yeah, 3 minus 125. Is that a better bet than 3.5 minus 105?
Yeah. Go 3 minus 125. Yeah. Okay. Up to minus 130 in NFL. Okay. Do it. Yes. Good.
Every single time, or
yeah. Every single time in NFL. Every single time.
Okay,
because that's a good account at
the 3 is still that key of a number that is it is worth paying 20 cents, maybe even 25 cents to do so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. Awesome. Well, hopefully that answers Chris's question. Let's get into this sharp college basketball. It is long. It is a long list from Art. Oh, by the way, his NFL needs really quickly. Broncos Seahawks is what the Westgate Superbook will need today. Wow. So everybody else may be different, but going to be interesting. Go Broncos. I guess I'll be a Broncos fan today. Just for all intents and purposes, VR. All right, let's rattle through some of these. Up next, Rob Veno, Adam Trigger. You guys know them from Full Court Press. They're going to come hang out with me. We're going to get into the weeds of this college basketball card. Gonzaga minus 13.5. Tennessee minus 5.5. Idaho State minus 5. Texas minus 4.5. UMKC plus 14.5. Clemson minus 5. Georgia State -6, Buffalo +10.5, Yale -9, Vanderbilt -1.5, Utah +5.5, Fairfield +9.5, Drake +5, Texas State -1.5, Southern Indiana +9.5. Woof. Kansas State +4.5. That one's down to 3. Maybe they think my Wildcats are finally going to win a basketball game. And Long Beach State +6.5. I know that's a long list there, VR, and I will drop it in the chat for everybody as well right now. Last week was great. Ended up 11-6 from those sharp basketball plays. So congratulations to all of those who tailed 5-2 on Sunday. So that was great. These have been pretty good. I think there was one losing weekend back in December. So let's see if we can keep this one going. Yeah, there's not 17 games this weekend, Sean. That is way less. So 17 games last Saturday was a lot. VR, any of these that you agree with personally? Any of these you maybe gave out to your clients, or any of these you're seeing opposite on?
No, I only gave out one premium so far to my subscribers, but I sent out a lot on the Steam sheet. Probably 10, 12 plays. And when I get off this segment, they're about to get a ton of added board. Right now, the bot just bet probably 12 added board totals and sides. So they're going to get all of that stuff. But let me see what I have that lines up with his. Tennessee -5 and 5.5. Clemson -5 and 5.5 we had. Yale -9, have that. Fairfield +9 we got. They took 9.5. Long Beach State +6.5. Couple and was that? No, UMKC. I got Mount St. Mary's. We have -2, 2.5. Here, let me give you some that we have. 601 Virginia -1, 1.5. 606 Seton Hall -6. 610 Georgetown +12.5. 617 Mount St. Mary's -2, 2.5. 633 Belmont -3, 644 North Dakota -1, 648 Indianapolis Pick'em. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of college basketball today. Couple NBA for you that's on the Steam sheet. 541 Utah +4.5 and 4, 544 Golden State -5.5, 6 and 6.5, 545 Washington +13, and 548 Portland -2.5 and 3. Reading those straight off the Steam sheet. There's NFL in there. There's college football in there. There'll be more NBA. There'll be a lot more college basketball. There'll be NHL. And, of course, any MMA, because there's UFC next Saturday, and I already fired a 5%.
All right, VR mentioned he's going to start pivoting the Steam room, and we're going to start pivoting last call. I basically did not give Adam Trigger any warning, and I said, hey, guess what? Football season's winding down. You guys don't need me on Saturdays anymore. I'm still going to get the sharp information from Art. I'll sure be able to share that with all of you. VR, we'll see you tomorrow. Last call, Ariel Epstein and the free Steam room, wt.buzz/SR. The link is right below. It's going too slow for me, but I'll be sure to share that with you guys. I think it's SR0181. We'll double check that here shortly. Thank you, VR. Be sure to check out his homepage, wt.buzz/VR, to get his Steam sheet. Have a great Saturday, VR. Let's cash them, don't trash them. All right. If you guys have missed our new college basketball show, it's called Full Court Press. Adam Trigger, Rob Veno every single day. I took Brian Power off because I wanted to bring back the morning wager. There's been a lot of moving parts, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm qualified for this position, but I've been making a lot of changes here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. And one of them is going to have Adam Trigger and Rob Veno start taking over for this coveted seat, 11 a.m. Eastern, Saturday mornings. I don't know what we're going to call it yet. Adam Trigger did not like Last Call Basketball Edition, so maybe we'll call it Full Court Press Extra. Haven't decided yet, but if you guys have an idea for me, drop it in the comment section. We're going to go through these college basketball games. We're going to hit on the top 25 games that I want to know about. If there is a smaller market game, I've got two experts for you. Let's bring them in right now. Adam Trigger, Rob Veno, both from WagerTalk.com. What's going on, guys? Appreciate you and understanding all of my madness that is leading up until March Madness, because college basketball season is here. I feel like I'm so far behind due to college football, NFL being my primary focus, that I thought our audience would much rather have two basketball focused guys. This is your bread and butter. This is what you guys both do significantly. Guys, we're going to get right into some of these top 25 games today. And I'm just going to go right off the top, starting first, right through, no rotation order. So bear with me. I should have my odds logic screen open. But I know these guys want to hear about these top 25 games. So the first top 25 matchup of the day is Florida Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt -2.5. And Art DeCesar said they saw a sharp group on it. Rob Veno, I'm going to go to you first while we wait for some comments and questions in the chat. Talk to me about this Florida team. I had them last year to win the whole thing. And this year I've caught some glimpses of them. They don't look like the same team. Got beat by Mizzou, dropped out of the top 25, but now they're back. Talk to me about Todd Golden's team and what we're going to see from this Florida Gators team versus Vanderbilt today.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Kelly. I would say first off, Florida, the returning front court was what the team was predicated on, right? They're working in a new backcourt. We know Walter Clayton Jr. was the absolute superstar for the team last year, now off to the NBA. But their recent surge, 4 90-plus point scoring games in the last 5, I think mostly due to the fact that the backcourt, which is a couple of transfers, Xavier Lee from Princeton, Boogie Flan from Arkansas, are now starting to gel. It's become a cohesive unit, and they look offensively a lot like what they looked like last year, and certainly that front court is dynamic. In this particular game, you have Vandy coming off a bad loss at Texas. Vandy back home finally took that 0 out of the loser column, out of the loss column. I don't want to call Vandy losers. Sorry, alum. But Vandy now with 1 loss back home off of the loss, probably get a big effort out of them. Should be a high-scoring game. Obviously, the total indicates that. My initial lean here was toward Vanderbilt. Florida's 490-plus in the last 5. At some point, that sinks to around 80, and you've got to score to beat Vanderbilt here. So initial lean towards Vanderbilt. I forget what you and VR were saying is either off of his Steam sheet or is either what the bookmakers need today or I've seen sharp action on, but I would be on Vanderbilt here.
Glad to know that you agree. Adam, Trigger, you can be a little contrarian like me sometimes. Sometimes we like to zig when others zag. Do you have an opinion here on Florida Vanderbilt, or do you agree with the early steam on the Commodores?
Tough part is, Kelly, I don't think this is the time to fade the elite teams, right? And I still think Florida is elite enough. They belong in that conversation, certainly after the other night. They've been playing better. The thing that with them this year so far, their backcourt has been the obvious sort of, weak link. Xavier Lee comes from a mid-major, comes from Princeton. Boogie Flan hadn't played his best ball early in the year. My thing is, if those guys start to play, at some point, Xavier Lee is going to get up to speed. Flan has been playing at this level. If the backcourt can match Vandy's backcourt, I think Vandy has a tough time here. So while I don't disagree that Vandy has a chance to win this game, that's not a bet I would make. I'm too worried that Florida is going to get back to being elite, and then we're just dumb for taking what would be not the best number against them. So I wouldn't bet against Florida here.
All right. If you guys are just joining us here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, Kelly Stewart, this is my last Saturday for Last Call. We're going to start to pivot to the guys from Full Court Press, go straight into college basketball. You are correct, comment section. That is Rob Veno from Profit Picks. And if you're looking for an NBA show, you need to check that one out. But this is going to be all college basketball leading up until March Madness. These guys are going to be put in overtime so that I can have a day off. How sweet of them. Plus, they're going to give you guys all these questions, like anything on Columbia or Quinnipiac when I can't name a single player on either one of those teams. And no, Adam, I'm not going to let you break down that game. We got more top 25 games to get to first. Arkansas, Georgia. Georgia now a 2.5-point favorite over the Hogs. 182.5 is the total. Adam, we're going to keep talking about SEC basketball because, well, frankly, they're the best conference in basketball and have been for the last couple of years, at least top to bottom. And it pains me to say that, but it is an absolute truth. You and I saw this Georgia team in the Bahamas a couple of years ago, and boy, were they just abysmal. This team is finally starting to put some pieces together. They are building a great program here. Is this a spot where you'd lay the 2.5 with the Dogs?
Yeah, we did see this Georgia team at sort of like the start of their rebuild. I remember everyone when we were in the Bahamas was joking that they were out late and stuff like that. And that was, that was really like just the starting point of the rebuild of this Georgia team. And they've now sort of become what I think we thought they could have become a couple of years ago, a top 25 team, a team that's likely going to be in the NCAA tournament. They come into today ranked. Arkansas, of course, ranked. My problem here, Kel, is I think Arkansas is still better. They're a team. I got to see them play earlier this year in East Lansing against Michigan State. And you got Calipari, you have the athletes he has, and, he brings young players in. So in that game earlier this year at Michigan State, they lost. They fell short on the road in a tough environment, but I think it prepared them for a spot like this. Arkansas is still the more talented team here, so I don't really want to lay points against them. Not sure I'll take Arkansas on the road in this spot, but I still think Arkansas is better. You're catching 2.5, so not one I've bet. Slight lean toward Arkansas here.
Rob Veno, any opinion here on this SEC matchup? We've also got one in the Big 12 coming up late night I want to touch on next.
Yeah, odds makers don't want guys like me to play this game because the obvious look here would be towards the over. We checked this total, Kelly, and it's like 181.5, 182. So immediate pass from me. But that's not to say you can't get there. Georgia, the highest scoring team in the league. Arkansas off of a 108-point performance against South Carolina, who's regarded as a pretty good defensive team in the SEC. Now, John Calipari got mad last game, went on a little bit of a mild rant. His team responded. This game probably just goes up and down the floor. It's just too high for my liking here. Team total-wise, I can't even find which one I would prefer in this instance. The one thing I will say, and I don't know how much it'll affect today's game, Georgia is off an overtime game where they played some extended minutes. I know they remain home. There's no travel involved. But I would worry a little bit about the minutes that they were extended because they're going to be in another high-octane game against Arkansas.
All right, let's hit this last top 25 matchup. Number 11, BYU has been really exciting to watch this year, but they are a 2.5-point underdog. At number 15, Texas Tech. Total Veno, 159.5. This is another one. Just blindly bet the over, right? Why on planet Earth would you want to be holding an under ticket with these two offenses? Tell me what your thoughts are on this Big 12, late night matchup.
Yeah, I won't say I was shocked, Kelly, by the line movement as big as it is. I guess I wasn't shocked by the line movement towards Texas Tech at home. I was a little bit surprised by how much has come in on Texas Tech. BYU, I guess this is their opportunity to prove it, right? AJ DeBansta, the top freshman recruit in the country, has been phenomenal all season long. Robert Wright, an ex-Baylor point guard in this mix. Kiba Keita in the middle, blocking shots all over the place. But obviously Texas Tech has the same talent. JT Toppin, lots of times the best player on the floor. Each side should score here. I think I'm going to initially look here at the BYU team total to go over. They're the underdog. Less is expected of them as far as points are concerned. If the game gets over, it'll be because both teams got there. I don't think it'll be because one team dominated the other. So for me, it'll be an initial look at BYU team total over the number.
That kind of makes a lot of sense here. BYU does have the best player on the court, arguably. Adam, thoughts on this one way out in Lubbock, Texas, late night?
Well, that's a great point, Kelly. Way out in Lubbock, Texas is where I'm going to start the handicap here because BYU, the way college basketball works now, you can get away with playing a pretty tough schedule in the non-conference without really having to ever go on the road. That's what BYU did. Yeah, they went and played UConn up in Boston at TD Garden. They played some of these made-for-TV neutral site games, Clemson down at Madison Square Garden, but they never went on the road once in non-conference play. You get to Big 12 play, in other years, Kansas State's a tough trip. Not so much this year. That's just not a great basketball team. Utah, not the toughest trip this year. That's not a great basketball team. So arguably the first real road test here for BYU. And I think that's an issue. I should have referenced what I made the numbers in the last two plays. I was right on market with Vandy. I was at 1.7 with Arkansas, which is why I slightly leaned Arkansas. Here I make the number Texas Tech -4.5. So at the opener of pick, now this is this has been bet up a little bit, but certainly where this opened, I lean toward Texas Tech. BYU's got some ways they can win this game. DeBansta can absolutely bail you out against anyone. He's a freak. He could carry you, but something that BYU's done this year, Kelly, is fall behind. And you do not want to fall behind in a game on the road at Lubbock, Texas. So even though I didn't play this one, wish I did before the move, pretty strong lean here to Texas Tech for me.
All right, let's talk about full court press. You guys have been doing this since the start of college basketball season. New college basketball show. Explain to me the format, Rob Veno, what you guys are doing every single day except for Sundays on the WagerTalk YouTube channel.
All right, so time frame is Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern to 11 a.m. So we give you 60 minutes of college basketball coverage. Out west, obviously, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. We open the show on a regular basis with either one, if there only happens to be one, or two marquee games, top 25 like we're talking right now. And then we open it up to the chat room. And what the chat wants to talk about or what the chat wants to know about, just drop your game into the comment section. And Adam takes a look at the chat and, we randomly select. I will admit that those who come with donations are seeming to get first. What do we call that, Adam? It's like supercharge or something. I know you'll know.
Yeah, it's not us. It's the super chat. That's what I think StreamYard or YouTube calls it. Yeah, I learned that the other day.
Yeah, those picks do get to the front of the line, guys. So, but we go over everything, whether it be added board, whether it be mid-major conference. It doesn't matter. If you want to know what our opinion is on a certain game, we'll certainly give it to you. And we end the show with a two-team parlay, a choice by Adam, a choice by myself. So go ahead, Adam, pick it up from there. I don't know if I forgot anything.
I really just the joint package that we have, Rob. We've got it up for the rest of the season. It's 3 days. It's all access. It's all of our picks. And no, come hang with us any day of the week. We'll literally talk about any game. Doesn't have to be top 25. Whatever you got, we probably have an opinion on.
What I like to do is check in with our WagerTalk insiders first. So Titan CT is a regular here. He likes Seattle plus 14. Now, I mentioned Gonzaga got some sharp money at the Westgate Superbook this morning. Rob, I'll kick it over to you. I'll let you break down this game first. And Adam, you can jump in with any final thoughts.
I think just the look at the price, right, Kelly? And I heard you and VR talking a little bit earlier about how the underdog price tag can sometimes be a distraction more than a reality, right? In NFL playoffs, he was explaining, just pick the winner. Don't get distracted by the point spread. Here, the plus 14.5 could look a little bit distracting because Seattle's been very good. It is, however, their first season in the WCC. They're playing some heavyweights that they didn't have to play before. When you play Gonzaga, obviously, if you don't have enough bigs to get on the boards, you're in a little bit of trouble. If you can't avoid a Gonzaga run, one of those patented 12-0, 14-2 type deals, you're going to be in trouble. I would love to lean towards Seattle, but I just don't know if they're ready for this type of prime time yet. However, that doesn't mean I want to lay it with Gonzaga either. So maybe I'll take, in my world, I take a look at totals first. Maybe I'll take a look there, but I just don't have any good side to play here, Seattle or Gonzaga.
Adam, can I get you to bite against the sharps? Sometimes I know you like to stand in front of freight trains.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is I wish I stood in front of said freight train last time these two teams played because it was at the Kennel. You were getting like 24. I believe Seattle took that game to overtime, nearly won. Rob and I talked about that on Full Court Press ahead of that game, how there was some matchup, stuff for Seattle that made some sense there, and they played a great game. Here, I think the number's probably right. I was right around like 13.8 or 9. I believe it's 14 right now. So I don't know that you're getting much of a number edge in this one, but those matchups, the front court, Seattle, something I noted earlier this year, Kelly, when Seattle beat Washington, they took it right to Washington's front court. And that's Heinz Steinbach. Those are some good bigs on that Washington team. And Seattle was able to essentially outplay them. So I absolutely think that they can sort of replicate the effort from the first game. The problem is you're one knockout punch away from being down 15 against Gonzaga. In the first game, 23, 23 and a half, 24, you had the wiggle room for it. Here, 13, 14, you could be playing with fire if Gonzaga hits that knockout punch. So very slight lean towards Seattle, but not something I'm going to play today.
All right, I do not have my odds logic screen open, which means that I should probably be fired because that's part of my job requirements. So hopefully one of you guys do. Adam, thoughts on the UCLA Ohio State game, please? Actually, he's asking Rob Veno, so I'm going to let Rob Veno go first again.
Wow, usually they ask me and it has a totals with an exclamation point next to it, but I will go first here. UCLA is playing extremely well at this point in time. I don't want to stand in front of UCLA. Ohio State, obviously Bruce Thornton, they've got some scoring ability, but they just lack where size is concerned, where defensive prowess is concerned. I like the way, Mick Cronin, and Adam and I talk about this a lot too on the show. He is the ultimate complaining head coach about his team. No problem throwing them under the bus at any second, but they've responded this year and they've become a really good scoring team as well as what they're noted for defensive. So for me, I would look UCLA first here. I just don't want to get in front of them the way they're playing right now. They're playing their best basketball of the season at this point.
Adam, when you start to look at teams in college basketball, it's different than the NBA. NBA, we're looking at teams that are going to go on multiple game winning streaks, right? And you want to catch fire. UCLA is on one of those multiple game winning streaks. And as a freight train stepper myself, sometimes I'm like, no, I'm waiting for this line to just get a little too high. At what point in time could I get you to bite on Ohio State? Is there a certain number that you're like, all right, I've seen enough here. I got to bet the Buckeyes. Somehow we got Adam muted, and I don't know why.
Wow, I'm so bad. I'm so bad at muting myself when I'm trying to do something.
This last call crowd does not play. They don't play. You should see the horrible things they say about me every single Saturday when I'm just here to give them love and information.
Normally I don't mute myself, and then I'm in my head. I'm like, if I'm shuffling around, I'm trying to check this screen, that screen, get yelled at by Kelly for bumping the mic. So I had myself muted. You're probably at the number, to be honest, right now where you could consider jumping in with Ohio State. That's the thing. I'm with Rob. I love the way UCLA's playing. I like the way that Mick Cronin can really kind of he's mixed up his defenses. He's gone to his zone at times this year. It's worked. That could give Ohio State a little bit of trouble. They're not, I don't think that they're just going to eviscerate you from three. But, that's the impressive thing about Cronin is he's kind of done some different things to get this UCLA team to where they were. They weren't playing their best ball early in the season, and they sort of tweaked some things to be playing a lot better. With that being said, this number is already a little bit high. So from just a straight value standpoint, UCLA wins at Penn State earlier this week. They're still on the road. They're still out east. Historically, they have not played great when they've had to come out east. Now, sample size is small. They just joined the Big Ten. This has only been going on for a couple of years at this point. But historically, they've struggled with that East Coast trip. I think Wednesday was just a matter of Penn State's just, not a team that's going to strike fear into hearts this year. I think UCLA was just better and was able to sort of pull away and win by 11. Ohio State's a little bit better than that. Now you're getting 5.5. I do think there's a path to winning this game for the Buckeyes. And at worst, Kelly, you're getting a good number at this point. If in fact it's still 5.5. I was at 3.9 here on this one.
Okay. The chat is loving them some SEC basketball. So we're going to take Sean Michael, who apparently thinks I'm an HOA Nazi because he said Kelly is too busy putting violations on people's doors. That is, I have not sent out a single violation. I'll have you know. My goal is happy and harmonious neighborhood where people just mow their yards. Sean, thank you very much. Kentucky catching 6 at Tennessee. Veno, I'm going to go to you first here. Let's talk about this Kentucky team. I thought it was really interesting to start the season. There was a lot of criticism around this team. Historically, we know Kentucky has had those one and done type players. Now in the NIL transfer portal era, that just isn't the case because you can make just as much money to stay in college basketball as you could prior. I think that hurts Kentucky as a whole. But talk to me about this Kentucky team catching 6. This line, as soon as Sean put it out, Kentucky catching 6 at Tennessee. That is was almost unheard of 5 years ago.
Yeah, and Tennessee's off a double overtime game with Texas A&M earlier in the week, so there could be a little bit of fatigue there on the Tennessee side. The criticism, Kelly, one of the main critics of the team was their own head coach, Mark Pope, from early on this season, has continued to say that he's got to weed out this roster. They didn't want to play cohesive. They weren't playing for the team, playing for individuals. He would get the job done. They struggled. they finally won a couple of games here in a row against lesser SEC competition. So this is a test to go to Tennessee and see if they are improving, if they have turned said corner and can be sort of trustworthy by the betting community of the rest of the way out. I would probably be on the Tennessee side if this game earlier this week wasn't so taxing. But here, I think it's a great opportunity for Kentucky to step in, play a good game, take what looks to be a little bit heavy on the point side here, +6. I think that's probably a good side in this game. Tennessee, for what it's worth, I'll just close by saying this. Tennessee is not necessarily the defensive team, the stalwart defensive team that Rick Barnes has had in the past. So Kentucky might find points a little easier to score here in this game.
Very interesting analysis there, because we did say at the top of the show, Art to Caesar text me the number 2 game. They laid 5.5 here with Tennessee. Trig, talk to me about some of these teams that used to be historically just powerhouses, right? Maybe they were paying players before everybody else got to. Maybe they weren't. I'll just leave that up to the imagination. But now we're seeing the cream rise to the top. And I think this Tennessee Vols team is absolutely in a good example of that. Talk to me about this SEC matchup if you have an opinion on either side.
Yeah, and just within the season, I got to see Tennessee play earlier this year up at Syracuse. They lost the game to the Syracuse Orange in the Dome. They were an 8-point favorite, got totally outplayed. They didn't have an answer to Syracuse's defensive pressure. And really, since that little stretch, I believe the next sort of game for them was a neutral court game in Nashville against Illinois, where they kind of got punched in the mouth again. And really, since that stretch, they've been much better. I think that they were able to sort of learn from playing a couple of tough games in a row, the sort of like intensity they need to play with on the defensive end. As Rob said, they're still probably not there in terms of being a super elite defensive team, but I think they could be pretty good against Kentucky. So you referenced, Art's list of sharp moves. This is one I very much agree with. I think Tennessee could just destroy Kentucky today. You get Kentucky off of an insane win, Christian Laettner-esque win. They need a full court pass and a turnaround to beat LSU at the buzzer. That was an LSU team that didn't have De'Don Thomas that really should have never been in that game. So you add in the fact that Kentucky had to go max effort in the second half against LSU to win that game. Now you put them on the road again here, tougher environment, much better team. I know Tennessee had to go OT earlier this week with Texas A&M, but I think they took them a little bit lightly. You don't take Kentucky lightly. Tennessee's going to be on high alert here. I think they're going to run Kentucky out of their own gym today.
All right, guys, we got 17 minutes until tip-off, and just like on Full Court, we're going to give you a full hour here. This is my last Saturday. Rob and Adam are going to be taking over, so you guys better get used to asking questions in the chat. I usually make up questions because these guys are a little slow on Saturday morning. So if there's a game you guys want to talk about, you better drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm not answering them, and neither is Rob or Adam. Oh, boy. Fine. Colin wants to talk about my Kansas State Wildcats. Let's, like I said, rapid fire. We're going to get through a lot of these questions. I'm only teasing the chat. They've been very appreciative of you guys this morning. Rob Veno, Kansas State. Everybody texted me the other day and said, Kelly, K-State -2.5, K-State -2.5. Mark Zeno texted me. Multiple guys tagged me. Potato Commish tagged me on Twitter. Clint Farrar, Joey Cheese, all these guys that are my Kelly. And I send them all the same thing. My buddy Xavier, I was like, why would you want to lay points with this team? Now, I know today the Sharp guys took 4.5 with them. Colin Gregory has a point. K-State overs and team total overs have been great. Unfortunately, as the wheels start to fall off, right? We're in the middle part of the season and things are starting to unravel for the Wildcats. I trust them less and less. Break down this matchup with K-State and Oklahoma State today for me, Veno.
Well, everything you just said about K-State can be applied to Oklahoma State. Right? I have a good friend of mine close to the Stillwater program who alerted me to them early on, a little bit of change in philosophy, new head coach, new process. It's nothing but up and down basketball. It's nothing but offensive basketball. We've been fortunate enough to cash a couple of team totals, a couple of full game totals with Oklahoma State so far this season. It's the only way you can look at this game, Kelly. Neither one of these sides wants to play defense, but they do have firepower and scoring capability. Odds makers know that. The number is where it is because of that. But I honestly, if there was one game where there's a total in this enormous price range that I was going to still play over, it would probably be this. These two teams, I see them going back and forth, something probably that lands in the mid 180s. It's just the nature of these two teams. And I always say that head coaches like to correct what is wrong with their team or went wrong in a prior meeting against a certain team. These two head coaches can't correct what's wrong on these two teams. They just are what they are. So for me, it would be over or pass.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that teams that are and coaches that are used to building programs, this is no longer that world. It is taking the guys that you have for this season, knowing that there's a good potential they're going to be gone, and getting them to be a cohesive unit. And that's just not Kansas State basketball right now. Adam, Trigger, this one's for you. We can't have a show without some Lindenwood talk. Rob Christensen, are we good catching 3.5 at UT Martin?
Yeah, I mean, I made the number 4 here, so I don't have like a big numerical edge. But what I will say is, like, Tennessee Martin was that kind of team for me, very North Florida-esque from last year, where they go out very early in the season and get like the big non-conference wins. I think they covered against Florida State, but they beat Bradley, and they had someone else that was a good win. Very similar to like North Florida. If you remember North Florida last year, they come out, they knocked off like Georgia, South Carolina back-to-back. They're everyone's favorite team. And they get into ASUN play, and they're like a 500 team. I'm not saying that Tennessee Martin can't be good in the Ohio Valley. There's not many options of being really good in the Ohio Valley. But even with that having been early November, Kelly, like, I still think it bumped their profile up considerably, where people still have Tennessee Martin ranked far too high. So even though it's coming back, like if this game occurred 4 weeks ago, you're probably catching a bigger number here with Lindenwood, and we're talking about a bigger bet on Lindenwood. Even though the number is probably in line, I think you still have a half point or a point of value. And because of how hot they started, 10 Martin is still a fade to me, because I had them like 6th or 7th in this league coming into this year. And I'm not sure that just because they caught a couple power conference teams playing bad early in the season, that they're not still going to be what I thought they were going to be. So I'll lean Lindenwood with you.
All right, guys, we got 12 more minutes until tip off. We got some questions coming in that I'm going to get answered in the chat. Rob Veno, you and Adam have a 2-for-1 special right now, full court press, guys, over at WagerTalk.com. Can you let everybody know what they're going to get if they buy your joint package?
I think we've been trying to get the name of this package correct, Kelly. I believe it's called Double the CBB Firepower, I believe is the name of the package. It's every play that Adam and I release, including 5%ers, if that happens to be the case on a certain night, for a 3-day period. And I think the price is $59 for 3 days for the two of us. And the one thing I note about this package all the time is that in college basketball, any 3-day period where you purchase is really a good period. If you go Monday through Wednesday, you have actually last Monday was not a good example, Adam, because we didn't even have a top 25 game. But for the most part, because of television now, switching over to college basketball, you get good basketball Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Of course, the weekend is what it is with the 140 some odd games on the Saturday card and Sunday primetime action. So any 3-day period's good. Get all of our plays for that said 3-day period whenever you choose. $59, double the CBB firepower.
093 just got moved to the top of the questions list because he is one of our Wager Talk insiders. WT.buzz/insiders. $2.99 a month gets you priority access to all things Wager Talk. Sam Houston versus FIU. Trig, this one smells like a game that you would get involved with.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to let Rob talk about this because he's nailed these teams on our show. And then you can give me Garth's question that he just donated for, because I have a stronger opinion on that one. I'll let Rob have this one.
All right. So first inclination, I did cash with Florida International the other night in a totals play up and down the floor. Jeremy Ballard's team. Here's one guy, Kelly, where we know we have a constant, right? Since he's during his tenure at FIU, it's the same style. It's generally top 5 tempo in the country. not the best shooters in the world, but you get so many scoring opportunities in a Florida International game that it's almost impossible to ever look under. What has to happen for an under to occur is both sides have to go ice cold. And in FIU's case, they give it up as easy as they score. So for me, Sam Houston has not been a really good scoring team. Adam and I talked about one thing just general on CUSA this year, because of the teams that this conference is made up of. There's some severe travel in this conference. Not that Florida, that Texas is huge travel, but these road trips that these teams go on, certainly something to look at. I think Adam had the number last Saturday. Visiting teams were like 4-20 against the number heading into Saturday last week. So it's been a pretty good angle to look at as well if you're going to play side here. As for me, where FIU is concerned, if I'm not playing some form of total, I'm not playing at all.
All right, Garth, donating, like you guys said. I don't see these very often because I don't ever ask for money from people. But apparently this is a thing on YouTube. Super chat, Garth Drake, thoughts on Utah Tech. Is Utah Tech the team that used to be Dixie State? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct, Kelly. That's a great call. St. George, Utah. I know that you're Vegas roots talking because I think it's pretty close to Vegas, right?
It is. I've been there. I've been to I've been to a Dixie State basketball game, and I do recall the name change. Let's get in there and answer this question. I have no way to even tee you up. He just wants to know your thoughts.
Yeah, well, so, Utah first, Rob promoted the package. Great. You're going to get all our plays. It's a Saturday, so I'll have a bunch of them. So I'm not going to hold out on you guys. I don't mind giving away one of my client plays here. Tarleton State plus 1.5. So 4% play for me. Listen, Tarleton State doesn't have bad back-to-back efforts defensively very often. This is a Billy Gillespie coach team. They are typically pretty solid on the defensive end. They're deep this year, so they've got guys that, they go 8, 9, sometimes 10 deep. Defense is typically not the issue. And last time out on Thursday night, up the road in Cedar City, Kelly, at Southern Utah, they gave up 106 points and lost in overtime 106-105. That's just not characteristic of how this team typically plays. Still offensively a fantastic game. Dior Johnson is now the leading scorer in the country. He had 40 on Thursday. He's coming off the bench for Tarleton. I don't know if it's just because he's more comfortable. I actually think, having had some time I was just at Tarleton last week, and I've spent some time with those guys, and I have a pretty good idea of like the program and whatnot. I think Gillespie just likes to save him for the second half, doesn't want him to get into foul trouble. It's worked. He's leading the country in scoring. So why would you do anything differently? I think it's just, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Utah Tech, if Ethan Potter can't dominate, Utah Tech is not going to score to be able to match Tarleton State offensively. Ethan Potter comes from Utah Valley. He's been in the conference. Tarleton State's always kind of matched up okay with Utah Valley, who's the odds-on favorite to win this league this year, was the best team in this league last year. Even with Grand Canyon still in this league last year, Utah Valley won the regular season. So if you can neutralize Potter a little bit, which I think Tarleton State will have a good game plan for, I just don't see a scenario where Utah Tech scores enough to match Tarleton State on the offensive end. Back-to-back losses for Tarleton. I think you get a much better effort here. They are the better team. You're catching a point. Kelly, I don't know about you, but I haven't been to a Utah Tech game yet in St. George, Utah. I don't think they get a crazy home court atmosphere. I'm not going to give them a huge bump for home court. So I thought Tarleton State being an underdog was surprising. I make them a slight favorite. Tarleton State plus 1.5, so 4% for me.
All right, let's get to, we're just going to go rapid fire here. Virginia, SMU, please. Lots of guys are asking for this one in the chat. Rob Veno, you have the floor.
Yeah, and Adam talked earlier about a miracle finish. How about the miracle finish for SMU the other night? Losing the entire game. Virginia Tech, a lesser team in the ACC, is outplaying them. SMU finds a way to stay close in the end. Virginia Tech misses the front end of back-to-back 1-and-1s. And Boopy Miller drills the ball to half court with 2.7 left, launches, and it goes in, and SMU wins. Everybody's happy, except me, because I had their team total over 80.5, and they only got the 77. However, today against Virginia, who's been a real dominant team inside this league, Ryan Odom, first-year head coach, I believe Virginia is the better team here. Andy Enfeld's squad is a solid scoring outfit. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game gets over the total, because Virginia is not your dad's Tony Bennett Virginia team, right? Where we just play pack line defense and run out the shot clock before we shoot the basketball. Could see some points here, Kelly. It's been bet up from 52.5 to 153.5. The side looks like a little money towards Virginia. I'd be leery of playing Virginia here in SMU, a game that they've targeted Virginia for, but I wouldn't be opposed to playing over 153.5.
All right, let's keep it going. Adam Trigger, Nebraska Northwestern is yours. And I don't know, I was just talking with Chris Allen in Slack, and I think I have to stay hosting this show. There's almost 3,000 people watching live. You guys are giving out great things, and I don't let Adam Trigger talk too long. Go, Adam.
Yeah, they're not, you know, they're showing up to see you, Kel. We just come in and chime in with some random college basketball stuff. Northwestern is so tempting here, but the problem is I think they need to shoot out of their minds to win this game. And I just don't know if I want to mess with Nebraska right now. They've been so good. They're probably going to lose one at some point. And this is one they absolutely could lose. Northwestern will space the floor. They don't turn the ball over. It's not the worst matchup, in my opinion, for Northwestern. But with any Nebraska game, it's going to be like there's going to be a high variance of outcomes because of the 3-point shot. And that is certainly true with Northwestern. If they're not hitting threes, they're probably going to get blown out here. That being said, my number suggests Northwestern. I think I'm at like 3.1 here. So at 5.5, it does show a little bit of value. But Kelly, it's one of those things where I haven't been betting against Nebraska. I think this team is really good. I just don't know that like this is the spot I want to like take my stand and step in front of them. However, I was on Northwestern earlier this week against Illinois, and that was a bad loss. I had Northwestern plus 9.5. It was a 4-point game with like 4 minutes to go. Basically, Illinois had to hit like 3, and then avoid the backdoor cover just to cover that. So while I am tempted to be stubborn and come back with Northwestern, I have not done it yet. Doesn't mean I won't, but I haven't done it. Lean Northwestern, but haven't got to the window with it yet.
All right, Sean Michael, who refuses to become a WagerTalk insider. I do not hate Michigan. I just ignore you in the chat because you're here every day. Give me your $2.99 a month, damn it. Come on, Sean. No, all jokes aside, Sean and I go back and forth on social media a lot. Michigan, 18.5 over Oregon. I don't hate Michigan. I don't know why people think just because I bet against their teams on occasion. And in fact, I've only bet against Michigan one time this year. That is a freight train I have not wanted to step in front of. Rob Veno, take us home with this last game breakdown.
Yeah, they've kind of taken a step back a little bit, Michigan, right? That Wisconsin game at home kind of started the run. But I want no part of Oregon, Kelly. And 18.5 makes you really want Oregon here. But head coach Dana Altman can't get this team to play. The absence of Jackson Shellstad for quite a bit of this season has been troublesome, but they're just a soft defensive team. Altman is another coach who has complained regularly about his team's defense, much like we talked about Mick Cronin earlier, and they don't have the scoring firepower to stay with Michigan. So if Michigan gets ahead in this game, I question Oregon's ability to come from behind. All that said, 18.5 is such a huge number. You could almost cover that by mistake if you're Oregon. So likely no play, but I want no part of Oregon this season because they just haven't made any incremental improvement as the season's gone on.
All right, I lied. We still got about 90 seconds left. Titan CT, one of our WagerTalk insiders, Oklahoma, Alabama. And this is how I've always thought this was Chris Thurston's burner account because Titan CT, and he also calls Alabama Bam Bam, which is weird, but I digress. Adam Trigger, thoughts on this SEC matchup? I feel like that's all we've talked about today is mid-majors and SEC basketball.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I avoided a potential, like what would have been getting sucked in with the sharper side with Oklahoma, Florida the other night. Kind of had a feeling that Florida was gonna run them out, and they did. It's in the same price range. The only thing I have on this one, and maybe we can get one more in here, is I'd be more inclined to play Oklahoma against Alabama than I would be against Florida. And it's roughly the same price. Not something I'm going to bet, but the slightest of leans to the Sooners finally getting one at home.
All right, Adam, Rob, who is your best team in the country? Adam Trigger, I'll let you go first. Who's the number one team for Adam Trigger power rating wise?
Man, this is tough, but it's right now. I've got Arizona there until they're knocked off. I'm not I think the top 5 are there's some that are interchangeable, but I'll rest on Arizona for now.
Yeah, I'd almost have to agree at this point in time, Kelly. Every time I think Arizona is not as good as as good as their record indicates, they come up with another big performance. So unlike Michigan, who we said earlier has faltered a little bit, Arizona just hasn't taken that step sideways or backwards yet. So probably Arizona at this point in time.
All right, guys, I have made an executive decision. I'm going to stay on last call, even though I do need a day off. This is light work. These guys put in tons of effort for college basketball and bring us tons of information. So I will be back next Saturday with Adam Trigger and Rob Veno. You can catch them every single Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. That'd be 7 a.m. Pacific. I had to do the math there in my brain on Saturday morning. Shout out to both of these guys at Adam Trigger WT, at Rob Veno Sports. You can also catch Rob on Profit Picks if you're looking for his NBA. And maybe we'll start to incorporate some NBA here on this show as things progress. Shout out to all of our WagerTalk insiders in the chat. Shout out to all of you that hit that like button today. Jumped in the comment section. Make sure you're subscribed. We are literally less than 30 subscribers away from 240,000, and we could not do it without each and every one of you. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to Rob. We'll see you guys next week.